6th floor via staircase. 45 gypsum boards, 2.5 yuan per floor, 15 yuan per board, total amount, 675 yuan. 5 bundles of keel, 10 yuan per bundle, total amount, 50 yuan. 37 bags of putty powder, 4.5 yuan per bag, total amount, 166.5. Total, 891.5 yuan. Brother, you worked hard today. Consider the extra money as a treat for a bottle of drink. 900 yuan received via Alipay. International Metropolis, Rakshasa City. Late at night. In front of an old residential building. It was already autumn by then, with the weather turning colder, and most people had started wearing sweatshirts or long sleeves. But Lin Mo, who had worked for half the day, was still bare-chested, allowing sweat beads the size of soybeans to continuously roll down his body. Thank you, boss. Contact me anytime you have more work. Lin Mo wiped the sweat off his forehead with the back of his hand, then replied to a message with trembling fingers. He got on his electric bike and headed home. He had a good build, a robust physique with well-developed muscles, especially the block-like pectorals and abs, giving off an impression of sturdiness at first glance. But upon closer inspection, one would notice that Lin Mo's back was covered with dense, thin scars, as well as peeling dead skin from prolonged exposure to the sun. His palms had become as rough as the bark of an old pine tree, with cracks on the backs of his hands, and thick calluses in his palms. Beyond these external scars, he had serious issues with his meniscus, lumbar muscle strain, and bursitis, often needing to work while wearing large patches of pain-relieving plaster. Although he made nearly 1,000 yuan today, which was a lot of money for most people, Lin Mo wasn't very happy. Like most men, he was facing his own midlife crisis. At 30 years old, his body had started to gradually decline, and nobody knew how long he could continue with such intense physical labor. Beyond that, the cost of living in Rakshasa City was terrifying, with the expenses for his daughter's elementary school, plus monthly rent and other living costs, nearly consuming 80% of his total income. He could save very little money each month. Forget about settling down in the big city, he didn't even have enough money to buy an apartment outright in a small county town. And going back to his hometown? Lin Mo's parents were also migrant workers from out of town, and he was born in Rakshasa City. To him, hometown was nothing more than a dilapidated adobe house he visited maybe once every 3 to 5 years. No connections, no familiar friends, he didn't even know the roads in the county town. What could he possibly do if he returned to his hometown? He remembered when he had just graduated, Lin Mo was full of ambition, wanting to carve out a niche for himself in the big city. But he sadly realized that the children of workers mostly end up as workers themselves. Climbing the social ladder wasn't as easy as he had thought. A hometown that he couldn't return to, a city that he couldn't hold on to. Despite his utmost effort, he couldn't offer his wife and child a stable life. This was the most honest portrayal of Lin Mo's life. Because he lived in the suburbs, by the time Lin Mo stood in front of his house, it was nearly 9 p.m. HSS. Standing at the entrance of his rented apartment, Lin Mo took a deep breath, gave himself a relaxed smile, then took out his keys and turned the door lock. Creak. The rusty security door opened, revealing a small but very clean and tidy living room. Daddy's back. The cute little girl sitting at the dining table doing her homework stood up at once upon seeing Lin Mo, hurriedly ran over, and leaped into his arms. Lin Mo instinctively lifted his daughter but winced from a sharp pain in his back, freezing the smile on his face. HSS. Lin Mo gritted his teeth, drawing in a sharp breath. Lin Xiaoxiao, his daughter, looked at him confused and asked, "Daddy, what's wrong? Is Xiaoxiao too heavy?" Ignoring the cold sweat beading on his forehead, Lin Mo endured the pain in his back and said with a smile, "You're not heavy at all, not in the slightest." Hearing the commotion in the living room, a woman of average height, slender build, and fair complexion, dressed in an apron, walked out from the kitchen. "Xiaoxiao, go wash your hands. Dinner will be ready soon." Her name was Lee Jinwon, Lin Mo's former college classmate and his present wife. Lin Mo gently let his daughter down, patting her head and saying, "Listen to mommy and go wash your hands." "Okay." Lin Xiaoxiao replied obediently and walked into the nearby bathroom reluctantly. Ouch. As soon as the bathroom door closed, Lin Mo, one hand on his lower back, contorted his face in pain. It really hurt. That kind of pain coming from the inside of the muscles, as if he'd been hit with a dull club. Li Jinwen asked with concern, "Is your back hurting again? Let me put some medicinal plaster on it for you." "No need, it was a bit cold on the way home, probably just caught a draft." "It's nothing." Lin Mo rubbed his lower back and took a deep breath. "Are you sure?" "Yeah, it's nothing. It'll get better in a bit. Go heat the food, I'm starving." "Alright, sit down and rest a bit, I'll go warm up the food." Li Jinwen turned and hurried back into the kitchen. "Oh right, didn't we say that you two don't need to wait for me to come back to eat together? I got home so late. Xiaoxiao said she wouldn't eat if you didn't come back." "Alright." Lin Mo watched his wife's retreating figure, feeling an enormous sense of emotion well up within him. His wife was indeed a good, virtuous wife and mother. Lin Mo had thought so when they were dating, and he thought the same now. Marrying such a woman was the proudest achievement of his life. But the only regret was that Lin Mo had made many promises to his wife, which he still hadn't fulfilled. For example, taking her to travel around the world and buying a small apartment in the city for their family of 3, where they wouldn't be chased away by the second landlord. However, Li Jinwen had never complained about these. Before long the small living room was filled with the aroma of food. "It smells so good. Wife's cooking skills are really getting better and better." Praise is necessary in life. To maintain a harmonious family, praising the lady of the house must be integrated into daily life. "Daddy will give you this to eat. Xiao, you can't be picky, okay? Woo. I don't like this, give it to Daddy, Daddy likes carrots the most." "Okay, I'll eat it, I'll eat whatever you don't like." "You're just spoiling her, what if she becomes malnourished in the future?" "Xiao, when do you see mom and dad being picky?" But the things you adults buy are all what you like." Ha ha. The atmosphere was very harmonious. After dinner, Li Jinwen took Lin Xiaoxiao to bathe, while Lin Mo was responsible for washing the dishes and mopping the floor. There were no clear divisions of labor between the couple in everyday life, whoever was available did the household chores. Even Lin Xiaoxiao often did things within her ability. This kind of life was very ordinary, but it was also unattainable for many people. In this world, everyone envies others while being envied by others. "Good night, Daddy." "Good night, Mommy." "Good night, Xiaoxiao." "Good night." By the time everything was done, it was almost close to midnight, and after Lin Mo and Li Jinwen had washed up, they lay on the bed in the bedroom. The room was not big. Apart from a bed, there was hardly anything but a walkway left. But because there were two people relying on each other, the small room felt especially warm. Li Jinwen snuggled in Lin Mo's arms and after thinking for a while, said, "By the way, husband, Xiaoxiao has a parent-teacher meeting tomorrow, and I want to take this opportunity to talk to their principal again. We can't let our daughter be bullied every day, right?" Mentioning this, Lin Mo also frowned. Previously, when Lin Xiaoxiao came home, her school uniform often had various stains, and at first, Lin Mo didn't care, thinking it was just the kids getting dirty while playing. But after asking his daughter, he learned that it was a boy in her class who deliberately smeared it with colored oil pens. Lin Mo had gone to the school about this and he found out that it wasn't just Lin Xiaoxiao being bullied, a few other kids from out of town often came home covered in colorful ink stains as well. Since the boy's parents worked at the local six-fan gate, and besides being a prankster, the boy didn't do much else offensive, the school's handling of the matter was very ambiguous. After several attempts to reason with them, there were no results. Lin Mo also considered transferring his daughter to another school. But for migrant workers, having a school for their children to attend was already a great fortune. Changing schools was nearly impossible. Lin Mo sighed and consoled her, "I understand, let's go to sleep now, and we will talk about it after waking up tomorrow." Maybe other parents would first go to the principal, and then see how things go. Getting my daughter to school is a big issue. With the constant threat of being ordered to leave the school, every action must be taken with great caution. This is the helplessness of outsiders, like children raised by a stepmother. Li Jinwen replied softly, knowing all too well the helplessness involved. Then, cradling Lin Mo's strong body, she slowly drifted off to sleep. But Lin Mo tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Even without a teacher's urging, he often suffered from insomnia due to overwhelming stress. Lin Mo could never forget the time he took Li Jinwen to view apartments, and she stood in the showroom kitchen, imagining herself as the lady of the house. It was truly heartbreaking. If they could own a small apartment in the big city, just 30 or 40 square meters, they could live a somewhat decent life. At least their daughter wouldn't be discriminated against because of her status as an outsider. But how terrifying are the housing prices in Rakshasa City? Even if he didn't eat or drink and had no health issues, earning a huge sum of 1,000 yuan a day, Lin Mo would need to have started his efforts before the founding of the nation just to scrape together enough. Entering primary school might be easy, but what about a few years from now, when it's time for junior high? What then? Will any school accept her? Or should I take her back to that hometown which has hardly any young people left? A sense of powerlessness surged within Lin Mo. He had been working so hard, yet he couldn't change anything. This feeling was just too unbearable. Why must society be so damn cruel? Ding! Suddenly, just then, an abrupt electronic chime rang out in Lin Mo's mind. Daily intelligence system binding in progress. Binding successful. Generating daily intelligence. Daily intelligence generation complete. Intelligence system? Lin Mo was stunned for a moment, slightly confused. However, before he could react, a transparent template appeared, suspended in mid-air before his eyes. On the left was his personal 3D color painting, resembling a character model from a video game. On the right was a red frame containing many pieces of intelligence information, listed in standard small script font. Today's intelligence. 1. You visited Future Star Primary School today and obtained relevant intelligence. Lin Xiaoxia was bullied by her classmate Zhang Ziyue at school, who insulted her as a country bumpkin from outside the city, unworthy of attending school with him. 2. You met your neighbor Wang Yukai today and obtained relevant intelligence. Wang Yukai secretly used his retirement pension to tip 10,000 yuan to a beauty in a live stream chat room, using the nickname, Black Chicken. 3. You saw Li Jinwen today and obtained relevant intelligence. Li Jinwen talked to her parents on the phone today. Her parents are very dissatisfied with your current situation and are strongly urging Li Jinwen to bring Lin Xiaoxia back home for schooling. 4. Wang Chong called you today and obtained relevant intelligence. Wang Chong lost 120,000 yuan on an online gambling platform this afternoon and is trying to borrow money from relatives and friends. 5. You passed by Earth Garden Community today and obtained relevant intelligence. Li Xiaoru from apartment 1402 in building 5 of Earth Garden Community has lost her pet dog and is offering a 30,000 yuan reward for finding it. 6. You passed by Modding Street today and obtained relevant intelligence. Your colleague Zhang Tancheng is currently spending money at Red Romantic Footbath Shop, and the police will conduct a sudden anti-prostitution check on the shop tonight. 7. You brushed past the principal of Qiming Star Primary School today and obtained relevant intelligence. Principal Lu Hongmei of Qiming Star Primary School is involved with Coach Li of Ale Fitness Center. Their last date was Wednesday night at 9 o'clock, at the Home Inn on Development Road. 8. You watched international news today and obtained relevant intelligence. Victory Bird will launch a ground offensive against Hamas on October 27. 9. You saw the community property manager at the hospital today and obtained relevant intelligence. Property manager Luer took his son Lu Bao for a circumcision at North City's First City Hospital yesterday and used a half-price discount on a second procedure. 10. You passed by the intersection of Jiefang Road and Development Road in North City District today and obtained relevant intelligence. Li Xiaoru's dog is trapped under a manhole cover at that location. Intelligence system? Lin Mo stared at the data panel that had suddenly appeared before his eyes. His first reaction was that he was hallucinating. His brain also seemed to have crashed. He was stunned for a long time. Only then did he tentatively close his eyes, took a few deep breaths, and when he opened his eyes again, the data panel was still there. He rubbed his eyes, but the data panel did not disappear. In his spare time, Lin Mo also watched some anime and read novels, so the existence of a system was not unfamiliar to him. But he had never imagined that something so beyond reality would happen to him. It was absurd. Could he be dreaming? Calm down. First, let's see what's written on it. Maybe I'm just too tired and hallucinating, or maybe it's because of too much stress. I have some kind of mental issue. Having reached the age of 30 and living his life at the bottom of society, Lin Mo had prudence etched into his bones. To some, this meant he lacked boldness, wasn't daring enough, lived too cautiously, with typical poor man's thinking. But there was no choice. Not everyone has the capital to squander. Lin Mo was already 30 years old, with the burden of his parents' future retirement, his daughter's schooling, and the family's daily expenses weighing on him. He had to be extremely careful to bear the heavy burdens of life. Therefore, rather than the surprise of acquiring a system, Lin Mo was more afraid of developing some kind of mental illness. Because that would drag down his wife and child. After reading the 10 pieces of intelligence on the data panel several times, Lin Mo's breathing gradually became heavier, and he tried to sort out his somewhat chaotic thoughts. The content written on it is indeed about the people I encountered today, or the places I went to. Now, there are 3 methods to verify the authenticity of the intelligence system. The first is to wake up my daughter and ask her if she was bullied by her classmates today. The second is to wake up my wife and ask her if she made a call to the family. Lin Mo pondered for a moment and felt that both of these methods were not very appropriate. They were both already asleep, and waking them up to ask these questions would be too strange. Asking tomorrow would accomplish the same thing. But Lin Mo's current mood wouldn't allow him to wait until tomorrow. So there was only the third method left. Having made up his mind, Lin Mo glanced at his wife, who was sound asleep, and quietly got out of bed, carefully stepping out of the living room. He first found a pack of cigarettes that had been put away a long time ago from the living room cabinet. Then, taking his phone with him, he opened the door and entered the dark hallway. Click. The faint glow of the flame shone on Lin Mo's face, which was a mixture of nervousness, fear, and excitement. Who? Lin Mo took a deep drag of his cigarette, opened his mobile phone's contacts, found the number saved as Elder Zhang, hesitated for half a minute, and then made the call. Beep, beep, beep. The ringback tone of the phone synced with Lin Mo's heartbeat, involuntarily causing him to grip the phone a bit harder. Whether he was about to possess the legendary secret power or come up empty-handed would all come down to this call. The first call went unanswered. Lin Mo lit another cigarette and made the second call. After waiting a full 20 seconds or so, the call finally connected, and a man's voice came through. Lin? What's up, calling me in the middle of the night? Elder Zhang was Zhang Tianchang. According to the intelligence report, he should be at the Red Romantic Foot Bath Shop on Moding Street, and the police were going to raid Moding Street tonight. Who? Lin Mo took a deep drag on his cigarette and feigned calm as he spoke. Got something I want to talk to you about. Where you at now? I'm at home, yeah. At home? Lin Mo's brows furrowed slightly, his mood plummeting from the clouds to the depths of a valley. Was he really hallucinating? Lin Mo clenched his teeth, unwilling to accept it, and pressed further. For real? Don't you have an old flame on Moding Street, not keeping her company? No, I'm home sleeping. Zhang Tiancheng sounded very certain, and then added mysteriously, "What's up, Elder Lin, you got plans?" "I've told you long ago that a man should live a bit more carefree, keep the red flag standing at home, but let the colored flags flutter outside, that's the—" "You're getting off track, what's the matter, Elder Lin? If it's about borrowing money, just spit it out." "I don't have much, but I can manage to pull out 1,000 or two." It seemed that this so-called intelligence system was not very accurate. Lin Mo had completely given up and casually said, "It's nothing, not about borrowing money. While I was resisting the urge today, I overheard someone talking about the cops planning to raid Modding Street for vice in the next few days. I remember you like to hang out there, so just a heads up, don't get caught." "Damn, really?" Zhang Tiancheng's tone tightened instantly, and after a few seconds of silence, he said, "No big deal if they raid for vice, the Red Romantic Foot Bath Shop's owner has connections upstairs, the cops won't touch them." "You're really not on Modung Street?" "Really not." "Alright then, hit the hay early." Just as Lin Mo was about to hang up the phone, disappointed, suddenly, he heard the loud sound of a door being kicked in, followed by the fierce voices of 2 or 3 men. "Freeze, police! Don't move! Who are you on the phone with? Hang it up now! Officer, is getting a foot massage illegal now? Beep, beep, beep." The call was disconnected. This. Lin Mo stared at his phone screen, unsure whether to mourn for his colleague or to be relieved. "Thanks, Black Chicken." Just then, footsteps and a woman's coquettish voice came from downstairs. "Ha?" Lin looked down the stairs to see, under the faint light of his phone, the nearly 80-year-old Mr. Wang Yukai ascend with a triumphant smile on his face. The next second their eyes met, and the air fell into an eerie silence. "Oh my." Wang Yukai silently turned off the phone volume, pretending to be startled and asked, "Lin, you scared me. What are you doing up so late and not sleeping?" Lin Mo shook the cigarette in his hand and said, "Just needed a nicotine fix, sneaked out for a quick smoke." Having said that, Lin Mo looked at Wang Yukai, catching him off guard with a question, "And you, enjoying some PK action?" Among the 10 pieces of information he had, there was something about Wang Yukai, and since he'd had this chance encounter, Lin Mo wasn't going to miss the opportunity to verify it. Upon hearing Lin Mo's words, Wang Yotsai's old face turned red at a visible rate, and he quickened his pace, muttering as he walked, "What PK? I accidentally clicked on that, don't talk nonsense." As he spoke, he fumbled to quit the live stream on his phone screen. Whether it was an accidental click, Lin Mo didn't know, but he thought that Wang Yotsai's speed at operating TikTok was not inferior to that of a younger person like him. As they brushed past each other, Lin Mo didn't say much else. They lived across from each other, and their communication was not frequent, though Lin Mo would often help fix an appliance or install a light bulb for them. Their relationship wasn't particularly close. Just as Wang Yukai was opening the door to enter his house, he paused for a moment and said with a sigh, "Lin, I really envy you young folks. Back in my day, marriages were arranged and we didn't even know what our wives looked like before the wedding night. It's not like now, you all date freely." After that, Wang Yukai closed his door. In the dark corridor, Lin Mo was left alone with his lips twitching more stubbornly than an AK-47. The next day, early in the morning. At 6:30 in the morning, the alarm clock rang on time. Li Jinwen woke from her sleep and, out of habit, pushed with her arm, intending for Lin Mo to turn off the alarm, but her push met with emptiness. "Ha?" She slowly opened her eyes and found that Lin Mo was not in bed. "Where's my husband?" Li Jinwen yawned, puzzled, slipped on her slippers, pushed open the bedroom door, and smelled a burst of delicious food aroma. Looking at the dining table, several exquisite dishes were already laid out. "Awake already?" Lin Mo poked his head out of the kitchen, smiling, and said, "Go wash your face, then wake up Xiao Xiao, I just have one more soup to finish." "Ha?" Li Jinwen looked at the dishes on the table and inhaled the chicken soup scent that filled the air, her brain frantically trying to remember. Why make so many delicious dishes? Could today be some important day? Wedding anniversary? No, that's not it. Xiao Xiao's birthday? That's not it either. My husband's birthday? The first day we met? First kiss? First date? First movie? None of them are right. Li Jinwen now finally understood the nervousness and embarrassment when she asked Lin Mo what the day was, and he couldn't answer. After brainstorming for a full minute, Li Jinwen, who really couldn't remember anything, could only sheepishly say with an apologetic tone, "Husband. I'm sorry. I've forgotten what day it is today." Huh? Lin Mo was also taken aback. However, he quickly understood from his wife's expression what she was thinking. This cute and panicked look mirrored his own when he couldn't recall what an important day it was. Indeed, two types of people won't emerge from the same nest. Lin Mo said with a smile, "Today isn't any special day, it's just that it's been a long time since I cooked, and I wanted to make a nice meal for you and Xiao Xiao. Hurry up and wash up." Not any special day? Li Jinwen frowned, not moving to wash up. Instead, she walked over to the dining table to take a close look. Tofu and shrimp pancakes, silky egg custard, stir-fried lettuce, and crispy scallion pancakes. Her expression grew even more puzzled as she went straight into the kitchen, lifting the lid of the sand pot emitting a chicken soup fragrance to take a closer look. Inside was a clear-stewed old hen with many side ingredients. The chicken soup isn't ready yet. Before Lin Mo could finish, Li Jinwen was already staring into his eyes, saying, "Not counting the time you took to prepare the ingredients, this chicken soup has been stewing for at least 2 hours, right?" Lin Mo, not understanding why, could only nod. His wife was right, the chicken soup indeed had been stewing for 2 hours. Li Jinwen pointed at the clock on the living room wall and said, "It's only 6:30 in the morning now, and we went to bed at midnight. That means you must have started cooking at 4 in the morning. Do you think that's normal?" Looking at his wife's reaction, Lin Mo genuinely felt that having the intelligence system was truly wasted on him. How wonderful to have a wife instead. This analytical ability is simply terrifying. However, Li Jinwen got one thing wrong. Lin Mo didn't get up at 4 in the morning, he hadn't slept at all throughout the night. In the past, he was an optimistic and cheery individual who struggled to survive in Rakshasa City with a bit of brute strength. An NPC like Small Fry. As time passed and he got older, Lin Mo gradually accepted his ordinary status, choosing to reconcile with life, to let himself off the hook, not to expect too much, but just to run his little household diligently. It wasn't enlightenment, it was helplessness after despair. But the advent of the intelligence system gave Lin Mo new hope for life and directly caused his insomnia throughout the night. In the first half of the night, he pored over the data templates of the system. In the latter half, bored of lying in bed, he simply came to the kitchen, wanting to make a sumptuous breakfast for his family. So this was the scene now unfolding before him. "Honey, are you seriously ill?" Li Jinwen, looking at the silent Lin Mo, noticed her eyes gradually reddening. "You must tell me if something's wrong. Xiao Xiao and I are your most." Li Jinwen's voice abruptly stopped because Lin Mo had kissed her. The best way to stop a woman from talking is with a kiss. Of course. This method only works between couples or spouses. Otherwise, a girl might fall silent, but she's likely to call the police afterward. After the kiss, Lin Mo gently embraced his wife's body and whispered into her ear, "Unless something unexpected happens, you'll have a hard time becoming a widow in the next few decades. I really just had some insomnia last night, then on a whim, I just wanted to drink some chicken soup, and also wanted to make a sumptuous breakfast for you all. Go wake Xiao Xiao up, or she'll be late." Really? 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 Oh my. But you must tell me if anything happens, don't hide it from me, I wouldn't be able to handle it. Alright, are you silly? Hurry up, or the food will get cold. Okay. Before long, The family sat down together at the dining table. Lin Xiaoxiao, seeing a table full of delicious food, had her eyes shining. Just like her mom earlier, her mouth formed an O shape, and she asked in surprise, "Dad, Mom, what's the occasion today?" Li Jinwen ladled a bowl of chicken soup for Lin Xiaoxiao and said affectionately, "Today? Today is your dad's crazy day." "Huh? Crazy?" Lin Xiaoxiao stared at Lin Mo and finally said after a long while, "Dad, can you go crazy every day?" "Ha ha." All three couldn't help but laugh. The morning light streamed in through the small window, adding a few more touches of warmth to this cozy family. After breakfast, Li Jinwen combed Lin Xiaoxiao's hair, while Lin Mo cleaned up and washed the dishes. By the time all the chores were done, it was already 7:20 in the morning. Lin Mo took off his apron, donned a slightly peeling black leather jacket, and said to Li Jinwen, "Wife, I'll take Xiaoxiao today. You can rest at home. I'll pick you up tonight, and we'll go to the parent-teacher conference together. Then, after the conference, we'll take a stroll on the street as a family and buy some clothes for you and Xiaoxiao." The weather was getting colder, but Li Jinwen was still wearing clothes bought the year before last. "I don't need any. I have plenty of clothes," Li Jinwen thought for a moment and said, "but Xiaoxiao does need to buy a couple of items. She's grown a lot this year, and her old clothes are getting short." After saying this, she asked, "So you don't have to work today?" We'll see. There probably won't be anything today. I'll take a day off." Lin Mo nodded, took his daughter by the hand, and said, "Xiaoxiao, say goodbye to Mom." "Bye, Mom." "Goodbye, take care on the road." Lin Mo lived in a rental house in the suburbs, quite a distance from the school. By the time he arrived at Future Star Primary School on his electric bike, it was already 7:50 in the morning. The crowded streets were full of parents dropping off their children, as well as vendors selling all kinds of breakfast. "Xiaoxiao, we've arrived at the school." "Xiaoxiao." Lin Mo, receiving no response, turned his head to look and discovered that Lin Xiaoxiao had her head down, breathing steadily, having fallen asleep in the added seat. Lin Mo couldn't help but sigh upon seeing this. Those living near the school could wake up at 7:30 and still have time for breakfast before going to school and attending class. But for migrant workers like them renting houses, to save some money, they mostly choose to live in the more distant suburbs. Money was saved, but the price was that the child had to sleep 1 hour less than others every day. For adults, it wasn't much, but for a child who was still growing, adequate sleep was very necessary. Sleep earlier? But then there was homework to do at night, and primary school students have a lot of homework. If the homework wasn't done well or grades didn't keep up, the teachers at school wouldn't look favorably upon them. As long as I follow the content written in the intelligence system, find Li Xiaoru's lost dog, and if everything goes smoothly, I should be able to get a reward of 30,000. Once the money is in hand, I'll go back and discuss with my wife about renting a place near the school, so Xiaoxiao won't have to get up so early and can sleep a bit more every day. Lin Mo was making plans for what to do next and, feeling sympathy, gently nudged his sleeping daughter, "Xiaoxiao, we've arrived at school." "Ah." Lin Xiaoxiao woke up startled, opened her weary eyes, mechanically nodded her head, then trudged toward the school mumbling, "Bye-bye, Daddy, be careful on the road." Lin Mo watched his daughter's retreating figure, hastily admonished, "Slow down, don't run, watch out for cars." "Got it. You go to work now." Lin Xiaoxiao verbally complied obediently, but her pace did not slow down at all. This child. Lin Mo sighed helplessly, mounted his electric bike, and prepared to head to the location mentioned in the system intelligence where the pet dog was lost. This was also why he had volunteered to take Xiaoxiao today. And just as he was about to leave, a pure white BMW 5 Series with a Rakshasa A license plate stopped at the school gate. Two people got out of the car. One was a woman in her early 30s, wearing a cardigan and over it, a pricey-looking white coat, and a small chubby boy in neat and tidy school uniform. Lin Mo recognized them as Zhang Ziyue, the boy who often bullied his classmates, and his mother who worked at Six Fan Gate. Having encountered them, Lin Mo thought he might as well try to negotiate with them. If it can be resolved peacefully, there's no need to go looking for Principal Lu Meihong mentioned in the intelligence system. Lin Mo's request was simple, just wanted the other parent to educate their child not to bully his daughter anymore. Having made up his mind, Lin Mo parked his electric bike, walked up to the woman with a meek expression and politely asked, "Excuse me, are you Zhang Ziyue's mother?" Zhang Ziyue's mother sized up Lin Mo and asked warily, "What do you want?" "Hello, I'm Lin Xiaoxiu's father." Lin Mo politely extended his hand. "Lin Xiaoxiu?" Zhang Ziyue's mother ignored Lin Mo's extended hand and turned to her son, asking, "Son, do you know Lin Xiaoxiu?" Zhang Ziyue nodded, "A girl in our class. She's from out of town and always tattles to the teacher. I really dislike her." Lin Mo's brows furrowed involuntarily, and a fire of anger ignited within him. Any responsible father, upon hearing someone insulting his daughter, could never remain utterly unmoved. But Lin Mo was there to solve the problem, so he still restrained his anger and tried to speak calmly. "Zhang Ziyue, you might not like Lin Xiaoxiu, but is that a reason to bully her? As a boy, it's not very nice to bully a girl, right?" Zhang Ziyue had not yet spoken. His mother quickly shielded her son and said discontentedly, "It's not your place to educate my child, is it?" Lin Mo waved his hand and took a step back, saying, "Zhang Ziyue's mom, you've misunderstood. I'm not here to educate your child but to hope that we parents can all pay attention to our children's behavior at school. The kids are still young. If he develops the habit of bullying classmates now, it will be hard to change when he grows up." Lin Mo's cheeks forced a polite smile. Zhang Ziyue's mom looked at her son and asked, "Did you bully your classmates at school?" "No." Zhang Ziyue's answer was very certain. "Mom knows. Go to school." After watching Zhang Ziyue leave, his mom said impatiently, "You heard him just now, my son wouldn't bully anyone. And besides, get your facts straight. It's normal for kids to roughhouse. What do you mean by bullying? If your child is so precious, why not just keep him at home and not have him school here, huh?" After rolling her eyes, Zhang Ziyue's mom got into her BMW and, without giving Lin Mo another look, she stepped on the gas and sped away. As he watched the car disappear from view, the politeness and courteousness faded from Lin Mo's face, leaving only a cold chill. It appeared that a peaceful resolution to this problem was now impossible. However, as for how specifically to handle it, and how to use the intelligence about the principal's affair, Lin Mo still needed some time to think it through. First, let's find the pet dog, and while at it, think carefully about how to solve my daughter's problem. Lin Mo mounted his electric bike and, after a ride of about 15 minutes, arrived at the intersection of Jiefan Road and Development Road in North City District. It was now around 9 a.m., and the road was busy with lots of cars and people. According to the intelligence, Li Xiuru's dog was under a manhole cover at the intersection of Jiefang Road and Development Road. However, Lin Mo was unclear about the specific location, as the intelligence didn't specify. But no matter, he would find it even if he had to search slowly. To prevent theft, most manhole covers in Rakshasa City were made of concrete and were extremely heavy, with hardly any edges to leverage. Opening a manhole cover was no easy task. Fortunately, as a construction worker, Lin Mo had all sorts of construction tools on his electric bike. And he didn't need to open the manhole completely. Just shifting it slightly and shining a flashlight down to see if there was a pet dog would suffice. No time like the present. Lin Mo found a short crowbar and began to shift the manhole covers one by one at the intersection of Jiefang Road and Development Road. In the process, many passers-by curiously watched what he was doing. Some even made bizarre comments, implying he was from Hunan province. This made Lin Mo very embarrassed. But for the sake of 30,000 yuan, Lin Mo could only pretend to be a maintenance worker, prying one manhole cover after another. Finally, after more than an hour's work, with his whole body soaked in sweat and reeking of sewer smell, Lin Mo found a pet dog, its original color indistinguishable, under a dark corner manhole cover with a gap. Woof, woof, woof. At the same time, the pet dog also noticed Lin Mo above, began frantically circling at the bottom of the manhole cover, barking, wagging its tail, as if pleading for Lin Mo to save its life. "Little guy, you're still quite spirited." After confirming the pet dog was still alive, Lin Mo felt a slight sense of relief in his heart. He had been worried that the pet dog had been trapped for too long. If the dog had died, then he probably wouldn't have been able to earn the 30,000 yuan reward. Now it seemed that things were proceeding fairly smoothly. Without wasting time, Lin Mo took off his leather jacket, held a flashlight in his mouth, and climbed down the steel rebar ladder in the well. As soon as he entered the well, a disgusting smell, like that of rotten eggs after fermentation, almost made Lin Mo vomit out his breakfast. It wasn't just the stench. The farther down he climbed, the more damp and greasy it became, and his clothes and shoes quickly got covered in disgusting sludge. He could only hold his breath and hasten his actions. Thankfully, the well wasn't very deep. As soon as Lin Mo reached the bottom, the dirty little dog eagerly and adorably stood up, its two front legs desperately clinging to his arm. The little guy is quite cooperative. "Don't worry, you're rescued now." Lin Mo smiled slightly, holding the pet dog with one arm while beginning to climb upwards. In no time at all, they were back on the surface. To prevent the dog from running off, Lin Mo got a rope from the electric bike to tie it up, then restored the manhole cover to its original state. Phew! Having done all this, Lin Mo sat gasping on the curb, taking deep breaths to catch his breath. Unlike the tiredness from pure physical labor during transport, this feeling of having to distract himself from the stench had almost made Lin Mo suffocate in the sewer. But everything had gone very smoothly. After regaining his breath, Lin Mo took out his mobile phone, found the dog owner's number that he had recorded beforehand, and then made the call. The dog-seeking advertisement offering a 30,000 yuan reward was quite a little news story. Lin Mo had found the owner's contact information with a quick search on his phone earlier. Beep. Beep beep. The call was quickly connected, and a woman's voice came through. "Hello." After glancing at the pet dog beside him, Lin Mo asked, "Hello, did you post a notice for a lost dog with a pink collar, a white curly-haired teddy?" The woman's voice became excited as she replied, "Yes, that's my dog." "Have you seen it?" "I know you're anxious, but please calm down for a moment. The dog is safe now. I'm currently at the intersection of Jiefan Road and Development Road. If it's convenient for you, please come over now." "Okay, I'll be there immediately." Beep. Beep beep. The call was hung up. Lin Mo, sitting by the roadside, called Li Jinwan to tell her that he would be home for lunch soon. Meanwhile, Lin Mo was already fantasizing about the surprised expression his wife would show once she found out he had earned 30,000 yuan just that morning. Being admired by the woman he loved was definitely the greatest thrill for any man. About 10 minutes later, a khaki Volkswagen Beetle parked by the roadside, and a man and a woman got out of the car, anxiously searching for something. At the same time, Lin Mo's phone rang. Without answering the call, he waved his hand and called out to the young couple not far away, "Are you looking for the dog?" "Over here." The young couple saw him and the pet dog tied next to him. You. The woman ran over in a panic, not minding the dirt on the little dog, picked it up in one motion, and with a tearful voice, she said, "Mommy has been so worried. Where have you been these past few days?" Honestly, even though it's now very common to treat pets as children, Lin Mo still found it a bit awkward. But that was someone else's business, and it had nothing to do with him. At that moment a young boy next to him said with a face full of gratitude, "Ever since the dog got lost, my wife has been crying herself to sleep every night." "Where did you find our Yu?" Lin Mo pointed to a nearby manhole cover and pulled out the excuse he had already prepared. "I was passing by this morning and heard a dog barking from inside the manhole. After I rescued it, I realized it looked a lot like your dog, so I gave you a call." "Brother, thank you so much. I won't lie to you, my wife and I don't have children. We treat this dog even dearer than a child." The young boy laughed and pulled out a small stack of money from his pocket and handed it over. "This is a little token of our gratitude, please accept it." Looking at the money he was handing over, Lin Mo's eyebrows couldn't help but furrow. Wasn't it supposed to be 30,000? Added up, this stack of money probably wasn't even 1,000. Lin Mo didn't take the money, but asked with a smile, "Sir, this isn't quite what the missing dog flyer said, is it?" To tell the truth, it was the 30,000 that had made Lin Mo undertake the long journey to rescue the dog. Now he had worked for nothing the whole morning, his clothes and body were covered in mud, and all he got was a few $100 in the end? Anyone would be unhappy about that. Haha, stop acting. The woman holding the dog came over, snatched the stack of money from the man, and directly placed it on the nearby stone bench. It's the same old trick of stealing the dog first, then pretending to find it and bringing it back. I've seen this scam plenty. We're not calling the police, and we're giving you money, that's being nice to you. This is all the money there is, take it or leave it. Honey, let's go. The woman, dragging the man, turned around without another word and walked toward their car parked not far away, leaving Lin Mo standing there, dumbfounded. Why did things not play out as he had expected? As the couple walked farther away, Lin Mo could faintly hear the woman laughing and asking her husband if she was very smart and how they had saved a few $1,000s or something along those lines. Lin Mo knew that society could be cruel, but he had never expected it to be this cruel. Even turning a missing dog flyer into a scam? Really? For a moment, Lin Mo felt an impulse to rush over, throw the money back at them, and then drop the dog back into the manhole, before giving the couple a good thrashing. But he couldn't do that. If he really did that, he might blow off some steam, but he'd end up in jail. He now had a wife and children, and aging parents. His days of losing his temper at the drop of a hat were long behind him. In the distance, the Volkswagen Beetle started, and with a push of the accelerator, it left Lin Mo's sight. Watching the Beetle drive away, he instinctively lifted his foot to chase after it, to demand an explanation. But on second thought, he let it go. Eventually, Lin Mo just took a deep breath and laughed bitterly out of extreme frustration. A man with a family, his courage was indeed smaller. He dared not act recklessly. However, if it had been in the past, Lin Mo might have stewed over such an incident, but he was different now. He had the system and an infinite number of wonderful possibilities in the future. It wasn't worth it to get angry over such trivial wrongdoing. Experience teaches wisdom. Moreover, the way he handled this situation was indeed immature and not thorough enough. Having the system and still getting played, what a mess. By the time Lin Mo got home, it was already past 1 in the afternoon. Right now, he was filthy and exuded a distinctly unpleasant odor. Upon hearing the door open, Li Jinwen walked out of the bedroom and immediately asked with urgency, "Husband, what happened to you? Heat up some food for me, I'm going to take a shower, and then I'll tell you about it." "Oh my, did you fall into a cesspit or something? I'll get you some clean clothes." Lin Mo offered a wry smile, without further explanation, then headed straight into the cramped bathroom. Whoosh! The shower head sprayed out hot water, and mist began to rise, quickly reducing visibility within the small room. Lin Mo looked at his blurred reflection in the vanity mirror and furrowed his brows slightly. Through this dog-finding incident, he had learned a lesson. His system could only provide him with information. But how to use that information to maximize his benefits still depended on his own brain. He had been pondering this question all the way back home. Like today, after finding the dog, he could have taken a photo to send to the owner. Then, after negotiating good terms and securing evidence, he could have returned the pet dog to them. The price was negotiable. It didn't have to be 30,000, it could be 5 or 3,000. It was the joy that the system brought that clouded my judgment. Some people in this society are still so ugly. I need to remember this lesson. 20 minutes later, Lin Mo, now dressed in clean clothes, sat down at the dining table. On the table was a bowl of chicken soup, a dish of scrambled eggs with tomatoes, some greens, and a small bowl of rice. Lee Jinwon sat beside him, asking with concern, "Husband, can you tell me now what exactly happened?" Lin Mo took a bite of rice and said with a bitter smile, "It's nothing, I was cycling past a manhole when I heard a dog yapping. I fished the dog out and realized it looked exactly like the one from a lost dog notice I'd seen 2 days ago. So I called the dog's owner." Lin Mo recounted everything that had happened just before in full detail to his wife. "Wow! What kind of people are they? That's so mean." Lee Jinwon also turned red with anger. How can there be such people in this world? "Hey, in a big forest, there's all kinds of birds," Lin Mo said with an inevitable wry smile after sharing with his wife. "You're just too kind. You should have thrown their dog back into the manhole and let them go down and get it. There's no need for that. If a dog bites us, can we really bite back?" "Yes, bite back. Bite them to death." "Humph. Alright, don't be angry, look at how worked up you are, and I'm the one involved and I'm not even angry. By the way, there's something else I need to talk to you about." Lin Mo then recounted the morning's encounter with Zhang Ziyua's mother at the school gate to Lee Jinwon. After listening, Lee Jinwon's brows furrowed even more deeply. She pondered for a long time before saying, "So what do we do? Should we join the other parents who have been bullied and ask the Education Bureau for an explanation? The school protects her, so the Education Bureau must be the place that would listen to reason, right? Go to the Education Bureau?" Lin Mo shook his head decisively. "No, that won't do, can't go. Xiao is already in 3rd grade, and in Rakshasa City we have a 5+4 system. That means in just 2 more years, she'll be facing middle school entrance exams. Our residence permit doesn't even have the full 120 points, so whether any middle school would be willing to take Xiao is already a question. If there's a record of us complaining about the school at the Education Bureau, let alone public middle schools, even those private middle schools that cost tens of thousands a year would be hard for us to get into." Lee Jinwon asked again, "What if we made an anonymous report?" Lin Mo smiled and remained silent. Lee Jinwon paused for a moment, and then let out a resigned bitter smile. "Then what do we do? Everyone understands the implications of an anonymous complaint. There'll be a way." Lin Mo was truly hungry. He had 2 bowls of rice in succession, followed by a large bowl of chicken soup. Lee Jinwon sat next to him, occasionally reminding Lin Mo to eat slowly. After the meal, the two of them cleaned up the chopsticks, washed the dishes, and tidied up the kitchen. As they worked, they chatted sporadically about trivial family matters. Once everything was done, Lin Mo grabbed his electric scooter keys and said to Lee Jinwon, "Wife, you get some sleep at home. I'm planning to go see Xiao's principal. The parent-teacher meeting is at 7:30, if I'm not back by 6:30, you can take a taxi there on your own." Lee Jinwon wanted to say something but in the end, she didn't speak up, just nodded. Be careful on the road." Lee Jinwon had tried to speak with the principal before, but after waiting at the school gate most of the day, she still hadn't caught a glimpse of the principal. Still, knowing all this, Lee Jinwon couldn't find the words to stop her husband. What if her husband met the principal? What if the principal was in a good mood today? A word from those in high places could outweigh endless talks of the common folk for days and nights. Even though a primary school principal wasn't much of a big shot. But for the working class struggling for survival in Rakshasa City, it was still a powerful figure. Lin Mo saw the worry in Lee Jinwon's eyes, gently hugged her frail body, and after planting a kiss on her forehead, he whispered, "Trust me, I'll do my best to resolve this today. Our days will get better." Lee Jinwon wrapped her arms around Lin Mo's waist. An hour later, under the guidance of a security guard, Lin Mo smoothly entered Future Star Primary School and arrived at the principal's office door. He took a deep breath and knocked on the office door. Knock. Knock, knock. Come in. A middle-aged woman's voice answered. Lin Mo straightened out his clothes and, with a bit of nervousness, pushed open the door to the office. The room was quite large, about 30 to 40 square meters in size. The decor was very simple. Besides a desk and a set of sofas for visitors, there were rows of bookshelves lining the wall. At that moment, a woman around 50, still exuding charm and dressed in a sharp suit, was sitting behind the desk, engrossed in something without lifting her head. Lin Mo went to the front of the desk, gave a slight bow, and politely said, "Hello, Principal Lu." Upon hearing movement, Lu Hongmei put down her pen, lifted her head, and took a brief look at Lin Mo, before asking, "Hello, may I know which student's parent you are?" The attitude was very polite. Lin Mo introduced himself, "I'm the father of Lin Xiaoxiao from the 3rd grade 2 class. One moment, please." Lu Hongmei tapped on the keyboard a few times. Due to the angle, Lin Mo couldn't see what she was looking up. After checking the information, Lu Hongmei looked up again and said, "Mr. Lin, what brings you here today?" Lin Mo didn't beat around the bush and said directly, "I came to talk to you about a student named Zhang Ziyue in my daughter's class who often bullies her classmates." At the mention of Zhang Ziyue's name, Lu Hongmei's expression flitted with a hint of discomfort but quickly returned to calm. She picked up an exquisite cup from the side, took a delicate sip, and said, "Mr. Lin, here's the thing. I have a little matter to attend to now. Would you mind waiting outside for a bit? Once I've dealt with it, we can discuss this issue?" "Sure." Lin Mo was slightly taken aback, but with her putting it that way, he couldn't very well insist on staying, so he nodded politely and then turned to leave. After the office door closed behind him, Lu Hongmei casually closed the computer page with information about Lin Xiaoxiao's parents, muttering disdainfully to herself, "Country bumpkins, they've all lost their minds." After leaving the principal's office, Lin Mo sat on a chair in the corridor, calm and patient, waiting. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. A good half-hour passed, and there was still no sign of activity from the office. The chairs in the corridor were the usual plastic ones. If you sat on them for too long, they made your back very uncomfortable. Moreover, with Lin Mo's bad back, he could only stand up to move around from time to time before sitting down again. At first, he could scroll through TikTok short videos, read his favorite online novels, and check his chat groups. But when his phone's battery was down to 10%, all he could do was sit in the chair and space out. But in reality, the situation was entirely within his expectations. 50 minutes. 1 hour. 1.5 hours. Waiting is a tedious affair. Lin Mo hadn't slept the night before, and now he was struggling to keep his eyelids from drooping. He dozed off in a daze, slept for a while, but was soon awoken by the soreness and swelling in his waist. He continued waiting until nearly 4 in the afternoon when there was finally some noise from the adjacent office door. Lin Mo stood up from the chair. But it wasn't Principal Li Meihong who came out, rather, it was a female teacher that Lin Mo did not recognize. Lin Mo bowed slightly, almost humbly, and asked with a smile, "Hello, may I ask if Principal Lu is done with her work?" The female teacher smiled apologetically and shook her head. "I'm really sorry to have kept you waiting so long. The principal asked me to tell you she's very busy right now and has 2 more meetings to attend. Perhaps you could go back first and come another day?" Oh. Lin Mo was no child. It was clear to him that Lu Meihong was deliberately dragging things out, hoping he would take the hint and leave. These people were all cordial on the surface, offering no clear faults to latch onto. But in reality, their inherent scorn and disdain were already concealed in every one of their glances and subtle movements. Stalling was their magic trick, passing the buck was their way of handling things. You couldn't even lose your temper, lest not only would your issue remain unresolved, but new troubles would also arise. They had a firm grasp on social niceties. Although he was very annoyed inside, his face still wore a kind smile. "No problem, I have a parent-teacher meeting tonight, so waiting a bit longer is fine. Please tell the principal to focus on her work first, work is more important." The female teacher frowned slightly and said indifferently, "All right then, thank you for waiting a while longer. However, even if you continue to wait, the principal might not have time to see you. After speaking, the female teacher turned and went back to the office, not sparing Lin Mo another glance. In the office, hearing the door open and watching a beauty product livestream, Lu Meihan didn't even lift her head as she asked, "Has he left?" "Not yet," the female teacher said with disdain, arms crossed, loathingly